So folks, we're here talking about the Agritourism Manager Boot Camp. How to manage your teenage agritourism employees without killing them or yourself. And one of the questions we get asked all the time, does this expand? Does this move beyond the teenage employee? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I'll share a little bit about that with you as we go. So first of all, you might not know who I am, and that's okay. I'm Hugh the Maze Master from Maze Quest. We operate over 70 corn maze clients in 3 different countries. We were NAFTMA's Vendor of the Year back in 2012, and we have been operating here. That's the 18th season. We went over 50 employees. This past season was a neat one because we actually opened a winery, and we have expanded now. We're employing in our heavy season right over 70 employees. And they're all ages, right? So with the winery, that's part of the new stuff that we're learning along the way. With the winery, we're looking at employees all over 21, mandatory to be over 21. And then all the way down to 14-year-olds out at the fun park. Now we are a real farm. Everybody asks you, are you still a farm? Are you still a real farm? And yes, we grow 1,400 acres of apples, peaches, blueberries, cherries, nectarines, apricots, corn, wheat, soybeans, plums, pumpkins, threw in a couple of raspberries, and no animals, nothing that poops or bites other than our guests at the fun park. Now, that's who I am and why all of this started, right? Because one of the things that we found a challenge for us, just like it's a challenge for everybody else, is dealing with teenage employees. You might be thinking that teens are teens and they're never going to get better or work harder. Too bad, really, if you feel that way, because honestly, we've had people compliment us on our crew of teenagers. They wonder where we got them all. And it's not because our teenagers are somehow special or different or they're all family or, any of those kind of, I would call cop-out excuses. They're the same teens as you've got near you. Kids aren't the same as they were back in the 1950s, but you can't hire any kids from the 1950s. So we have to suck it up and operate in this new environment. But I'm certainly not approaching this from the perspective of perfection, because we've all been there with situations we would rather forget. You see, it was late one night, and we were super busy. People, staff running everywhere. This is in the early 2000s. It's a flashlight night. Lines were everywhere. I was understaffed, and I couldn't find Brandon. And I called on the radio, and nothing. And then an hour later, he comes back on the radio, and I had it. So I fired that child over our handheld radio system. Now you have to keep in mind that our handheld radio system is on the hip of every employee. No headsets. So not only did I fire him in front of the entire staff, which is embarrassing enough, I fired him in front of everyone who was there that night. And let me tell you, that is bad for guests. It's real bad for Brandon. It was bad for the crew because they were concerned that they might get fired at that point over the radio and embarrassed. And it was sure bad for me when his parents called. It was bad all the way around. So, we have been there. But even that wasn't a big enough incident for me to change the employee system. And the final straw that kind of broke the camel's back was in 2009. And we had been doing interviews under the same old assumptions that we have all had for doing interviews. And that is that you have to prove why you're going to be here. What do you bring to the table? Tell us your skills. Sell me that pen. All of the classic wrong things to do. And to this girl's credit, this tiny little 14-year-old girl's credit, She waited until she made it to our office up above the farm market. She waited till she closed the doors and started down those big metal stairs before sobbing. Now, this is... And then I kind of lost it with myself. I wasn't mad at anybody else. It was all my responsibility. But we had made a little girl cry when she was trying to audition for what we call the funnest place north of Disneyland. Something was wrong. And I went home that night and changed everything about the way we interviewed, the way we treated our people on the way in. Overnight. And from that moment onward, that's where we started developing what has become the Agritourism Manager Bootcamp after morphing through a number of cycles at our home farm. Now, is this for you? You're probably thinking, great story, bro, but what's this got to do with me? Well, it's for you if you've ever caught an employee slacking. If you have ever had to cover an extra shift because a teenage employee has called out questionably sick, like sick at the precise time when their girlfriend is off work as well. If you dread scheduling your employees each and every week. If you wonder how to motivate your staff. If you've had workers chronically late to arrive. If you have people with bad attitudes that make guests angry and come up to you and complain during a season. Hey man, that used to be us. I had all of those things. We all have had all of these things, right? And it makes you so mad. I mean, I would fly off the handle if I found somebody standing around. That was us in 2009. Now, this past year, we had a 73-person crew on which 95% of them earned their performance bonus. Now, think about that. That means that they weren't late. They weren't skipping shifts. They didn't have a disciplinary action against them for some behavior, inappropriate behavior in front of guests. At my place, that means they didn't have their cell phone on them at all during any of their shifts. That's pretty neat. I mean, look at 2012. It was 100%. We're still at 50 some odd people. And it was 100% earned their performance bonus. I mean, when Michelle told me that, I told her to go back and look at the list and try to find something wrong with somebody. Because for us, the performance bonus was $100. Right? That's $5,000. Is it worth it? Yeah. And we pulled everything together that made all of this happen. And that's where the boot camp comes from. It's all in one neat and tidy place. But what do you care? The question is, does it work? Here's what Andy said. We have all our stuff finished for our store, the food shacks, and now we're working on the October-only activities, and we've never been this far ahead. Here's what Cindy and Barry said. We've implemented the MazeQuest staffing system, and it's never been smoother, right? It really helped. Scott Skelly, you might know him up in Wisconsin, has a couple books out about agritourism. We found the course great so far. It's really getting us the right direction for the farm. Mike Marini, from the Hughes first visit, right? This is one of our corn maze clients. Teaming up with Hughes, the best thing. Entertainment has taken my business to a level I never thought possible. Each one of these has great stuff to say, but far from being magical. What we did was just help them implement the systems that work for us. Here's the catch. It takes time to implement the systems. You got to take time to create the policies, the forms, the job descriptions. But if you can remember back to last season, when it was so painful to do those same things over and over, have those same conversations with those employees over and over again, to have to train and retrain and train again, and the retention didn't seem to be there. Why do you want to struggle with all those old problems? What does it cost to do nothing? This time it is expensive to do nothing. Normally nothing's safe, right? You can't get kind of fired for not, for not jumping on a new program, right? Everybody can hide out and not do that. Nothing same, nothing different. Hire the same, fire the same. Yell at everybody. Frustrated with scheduling the same. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want something different. Here's something I found I thought was neat. Just one teenage worker. This isn't even your good adult employee retirees, the ones you really love, that they still know how to work, all that kind of. There's just one teenage employee. Costs $850 to replace in just lost time, knowledge, efficiency, and then the management time. That's the one you never count, is your time to retrain the replacement. You've all had this happen, right? You have this whole new group of people and you're like, hey, go out to the Morton building and grab the weed whacker out of the shed. And they're like, what's a Morton building? I mean, even the person who's just going to run the weed whacker, right? If they know where the weed whacker is, it's an advantage, right? That's where this comes from, this expense to replace. This is somebody who just works $8 an hour. The Center for Academic Policy Research, there's the link down there. But, I mean, that's expensive. But think about, what if you had 5 employees working at $8.75, right? You're looking at a liability of $43.75 an hour, and you're open 21 public days, and they waste 2 hours a day not doing their job or having you retrain how to do that job, right? You're looking at $1,800 lost. And this thing just gets big fast, right? What's 12 employees? Maybe you're in a place where it's $9.25 an hour on average. You're at $111 an hour, 21 days, 2 hours a day, $4,600. And if you've got, and some of our poll people said you've got 25 or more employees, even at $850, you're looking at $200 some an hour, 31 days, 2 hours. Put in your own numbers. These are just examples. $13,000 lost at just 2 hours a day. I mean, that's some crazy kind of cost here. I mean, I think we'd all admit the one check we hate writing every week is payroll, right? Wouldn't it be neat if you knew that payroll check was almost 100% going to useful, valuable tasks on the farm? But there's a trick in here. You see, employees are driven to acquire, bond, comprehend, and defend. Now, it may sound weird, but go with me here. Your system has to address all 4 aspects of this motivation to be successful. This is from the Harvard Business Review on employee motivation and a new model, kind of how to do it. But because people learn, now you have to activate all of these things. And the question is, do you have a system for that? So the vast majority, and part of the program is to get the right people in. But once you have them in there, they're driven. Then you get those right people. They're driven to acquire knowledge. They also want to bond with their fellow employees. Now, that's a tricky one because they can bond to work harder for the farm, to have more fun with the guests, or they could bond to defend each other against a jerk boss, right? So you got to make sure that your system is set up so that you're not the one they're defending against. And they want to understand, they want to comprehend. And this is the one that I'm telling you, I grew up with an old school Depression era farm family, and you can imagine it was command and control. And one of the things that drove me bonkers was because sometimes I would be told to do things and not told why. They have to understand the why, particularly with millennials. They have to understand the why before they're motivated to do what you're telling them to do. And you'll see tons of examples in the boot camp, tons of examples of how we're telling them why they're doing what they're doing and giving them that understanding. And then defend. And of course, you want them on your side. You want them being a part of this team. You want them defending the team against the world, right? They're going to look out for you so nobody's stealing stuff. They're going to look out for you, nobody's swiping candy bars or donuts, right? You want them to defend you and the business because of the wonderful thing you're doing, creating this opportunity for them. Do you have a system that does that? Purposefully does that? It's taken years to get this all figured out. Here's the other one to keep in mind, and I want you to take a look at your own numbers. Get into your QuickBooks and take a look here. Amusement park labor cost averages 20 to 40% of revenue. I mean, that's crazy, crazy high. And I know plenty of farms that are in the 20 to 25% range. We did the Maze Quest Fun Park. We averaged less than 15% of revenue. Now, this is from the second wind consultants, right? How much revenue should go to payroll? All right. The reason we're so efficient, couple things. Mazes, very efficient. Those kind of puzzles are good. Park design, very efficient. Yes. The third one is the one you don't often think about. At our park, we switch people around to jobs. So when I hire somebody, they can move. If I'm busy at the front, they can run up and do the registers. If I get busy in a snack bar, they can go back and restock in the snack bar. They know what to do at all those places. So it's not like I've got 4 people parked at the front registers who cannot be moved out to the fun park to go rescue people out of the maze because we're super busy and need to get a big group out, right? Because of the training, the way these things are set up and the job descriptions, they know what to do at all these places. So my total number of people are more flexible. So check this out. Here's some more. I know I'm doing a lot of talking. Let's let somebody else do it. Rochelle, she has over 300 employees. 300. Just hosted our first day of interviews. Works so much better than our old set of questions. Here's Lori. She says, it just seems that if we tweak yours to meet our needs, we spend less time than reinventing the wheel. Amy Ladd, Lucky Lad, Agritourism Bootcamp, one of the best investments we made in the business. We discovered we're not alone in our struggles as managers, right? ATMB gave us the tools we needed to streamline the hiring and training, and we've already implemented what we can learn. Couldn't be more pleased with our success. Here's Rhonda, working on the opening and closing list. Great idea. Thanks for sharing. Excited to put it to use. Looking forward to tomorrow and meeting you at the farm this summer, right? They're going to swing down. Come see us. You guys can too. This is one of my favorite ones from Andrew Dixon. As a young guy, just started new agritourism on his farm a couple of years ago. Now he's doing great. Here's my homework from the last 2 modules. I'm Mr. Copy and Paste guy, LOL. What Hugh says is fitting right in here. # copy and paste. All right. And Melinda, she just has some great, we've always said we need to get more organized about our labor, and she didn't see how all this paperwork was going to help. But rewriting job descriptions to the format you presented so they have no excuses. I didn't know. I had to do that. Thanks for all the material and all the paperwork. Now it makes sense to me. Right? These guys are out in California running vineyards and everything. It's just so neat to see this. And part of what you get, you can kind of hear it in there. Part of what you get is that you're going to be connected on our VIP restricted access Facebook group, and you're going to post your homework for everybody else who's doing the class. You're going to post it in, you're going to share your stuff, get to know some people, and ask questions there because everybody's got a different operation, and it's fun to get the different viewpoints on maybe it's your cell phone policy. You just want to put yours out there, see what everybody else says about it. Start with mine, copy and paste, do a little bit of work, and then put it out there. Pretty neat the way this happens. This is the power of job descriptions that Melinda's talking about there. But today, we're going to give you some stuff. If you don't do the course, totally fine. Going to give you some stuff here you can go home and use immediately. We're going to cover how teenage workers are not the enemy, but in fact the best resource for seasonal businesses like yours. Why young workers with no experience are actually the best for agritourism farms. Sounds counterintuitive. Stick with me. 5 steps to a successful group orientation. This is one of the key features of the bootcamp. We teach you exactly how to do the group orientation. We're going to run you through a very quick version here today. And then how you can adapt this to your farm. All right? So first, teenage workers are not the enemy. That sounds surprising. But here's the thing. They're inexpensive. They're going to engage. Here's a teenager, right, who got into the program with us, and now here he is dressed up as Caesar. In the video, he was actually Caesar's wife was his sister because they were both working here. Like, teens are desperate to fit in, to be included, to be valued, to be trusted, and if they have the grown-ups, they want to be treated like a grown-up, and if you have the process, you're going to be able to show them how. You're going to be able to lead them along the way. This is one of my favorite quotes. The best leaders make their people feel safe. And this is Simon Sinek. He has an excellent TED Talk. Just look up Simon Sinek about leadership. Great TED Talk. So how do we do that with our teenage workers, right? They're inexpensive, they're flexible to schedule, but we have this feeling, right? They have no experience. How many of you have ever thought, I don't even think they know how to run a broom? It's so funny, right? But, I heard about this crew of bar workers who would go specifically to new bars when they opened, and they would use every dirty trick they learned over the years, and they'd rob the place blind until the owners wised up, and then they'd move on. Now, mostly that's not the case, but, I'd rather have the first crack at teaching these kids how to work before anyone else teaches them how to goof off or shirk responsibility, right? With no job experience, you have no old, bad habits, right? When you have bad habits, they have to be broken, which takes more training time to begin with if somebody thinks they already know how to do it. So look at these teenage workers and look at their inexperience and say, I can turn this blank slate into exactly the kind of worker that I want. And that's one of the reasons we've just had so much success using teenage workers at the fun park. But fear not, all of this expands to the older generation as well. But now we're going to give you a module preview here. And this is our group orientation, kind of 5 steps to getting everybody started on the same page. So I can't go over the whole class, but we're going to do this one. And it's going to show you kind of the fill-in-the-blank style worksheets, all that kind of stuff. This is one of our signature features, this group orientation. Now, this happens after a personal interview, but before the worker is hired. Okay, so that's where this fits, this group orientation. Fits between the interview and the actual hiring. So why do we plan this group orientation? Sounds like extra work, right? It's an extra time to meet, but no, all right? Hiring the wrong employees is extra work, right? This is preventative medicine, okay? Because when there's a group, there's competition, right? You want to create the feeling that there is a demand for these jobs, right? So even with interviews, we schedule the applicants to see a line of candidates. As they walk in, there's already 3 or 4 people stacked up in front of them. By the end of the day, we kind of have a line we got to work through of these individual interviews so that they look around and they see, oh gosh, there's other people here who want this job. I better put my best foot forward. I better do the best job I can if I want to get this job. So we're trying to do this as opposed to saying help wanted. We're trying to say you're entering an audition process. All right. Step number 2, invite the parents. Now I got this out of a magazine years and years ago. And man, has this just transformed our process. So now remember, if you have people who are 18 or above, they don't need to bring their parents. But if you're hiring teenagers, it is mandatory, and we make it mandatory. You can't come to work unless you and a parent attend a group orientation. Okay? Now you've probably had bad experiences with parents in the past, so we make it mandatory that the parents come to help their youth produce the great results that we wish to see. Because you've probably had a talk with this lady. Billy has like a surprise family reunion that we didn't tell him about, but he's going to need off on Saturday. Okay? If you want to see Hugh flip his lid, right, that's what used to happen until we started these group orientations. And the reason it doesn't happen anymore is because the parent is sitting right there when we go over all of the expectations of the child, right? So part of the successful orientation, we require the parent or guardian to be there, no questions, no substitution, and after we go through our expectations guide, we make them sign it at the end, right? Now, the other reason for the group orientation here, step 3, is we're going to use this opportunity to tell them the why. From you as a leader down to the newest employee, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. In fact, we even write it in there and read it at the group orientation. Why we do what we do, to create an experience people are willing to pay for. We have to be fun. Fun is perceived individually, but by creating and implementing our tested framework of appearance and behavior, we can exceed most guest expectations. When we exceed expectations, we turn guests into fans who tell other people about coming to the farm. Maze Quest grows without paid advertising, enabling us to grow the business. The more people who come, the more employees I need, the more hours you get, the more money you make. We're making that connection immediately, before they're even hired, to why we do what we do. And having a clear mission like this clear mission, and saying it out loud, and saying it to the parents, and telling everyone why you're going to be expected to do all of these things, is so vitally important, particularly with millennials that everyone's so terrified of. I haven't found millennials to be a big problem at all, because I tell them why. And then they get it, man. And they can plug into the mission. And step 4 is share precise expectations. We don't take any chances. We spell it all out. In the group orientation, we're going to go down through what you're going to build for your farm. This is our Maze Quest Employee Expectations Guide. We walk them through the expectations guide, and you're going to be creating this expectations guide in the whole process, step by step by step. So they're not going to be surprised when we ask them to clean porta potties or pick up trash. Module 5 and 6 of this program is where we get everything done. It's all done for you. We give it to you, give you our text, blanks below for you to do brainstorming, write your own, swipe and deploy, copy and paste. You're going to end up with this beautiful employee expectations guide, so that it's going to be completely crystal clear what you, the owner, want to have happen. What's completely crystal clear of how that employee is going to be successful. This isn't about pounding rules into people until they know the rules, right? We're essentially giving them the guidelines by which they can win. Everybody wants to be a winner. No one wants to be a loser. They don't want to mess up. They don't want to look like an idiot. They sure don't want to look like an idiot in front of anyone else or their friends or their guests or their parents, right? They want to win. They want to do it right. And so we're going to spell out exactly. I mean, down to, when we get into job descriptions, we're going down to script level, right? Here are 5 great things to say if you're the pedal cart operator. Here are 5 great things to say if you're welcoming people to the front desk, right? Like, we go down to the script level, because if you don't give them that script, you don't give them anything to go on, they're going to make something up. And that's where you can run into troubles. In step 5, I know this sounds weird, and you may need every employee who has applied so far, but you have to make it okay for them to leave so they want to stay. Now I want you all to take just a little trip back to high school, and I want you to remember a time when you had to ask somebody out. And you asked and hinted and nudged and encouraged that person to ask you out or take you out, one or the other. And it was a no-go. And then finally you said, forget it, it's not going to happen. And you managed to get another date with someone else. And all of a sudden, the first person you were looking at was like, oh, well, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Why? You have to make it okay for them to leave so that they want to stay, right? If you're desperate to saying, oh, you got to work here, it's so fun to work here, everything's right, if you're selling that whole time, it just makes you seem desperate. It's like hanging out that help wanted sign. Or are you going to be like Disney and say, auditions? Register for your audition. Right? Sell the farm too hard, they'll think you're desperate. Here's what we say. If it's not for you, not everyone is wired for the entertainment business. You've got to smile. You've got to forget about your life and focus on the guests. You've got to want to please guests and make them smile. And you've got to do it when it's hot, cold, raining. You've got to do it when you're tired, sad, frustrated, when you just broke up with a girlfriend, wrecked your car, or lost your keys. You got to leave your baggage at the door, even if your day is lousy or tiring. The guest is meeting you for the first time. You have a chance to treat them to a wonderful experience they will remember Being cheerful is part of your job description. If you can't separate your life from your work responsibilities, we encourage you to find a different job. What? I know, it sounds crazy. And you know what? If this statement scares off 3 people who were sitting there in the group orientation, great. That means they were the wrong 3 people. And you just saved yourself a world of harassment from having to deal with them when they turned out to be bad. What it's really going to do is pull those good people closer to. It's going to be like a magnet for high quality people. Clarity is a magnet for high quality people. And so that is the preview of the group orientation. That's Module 4 in Agritourism Manager Bootcamp. Even if you don't join the class, just remember, group equals competition. Invite the parents. Tell them why you do what you're doing. And make your expectations precise. Then make it super okay to leave. So they'll want to stay. One of the articles I read that just occurred to me was from Zappos. Zappos was the famous online shoe retailer, got bought by Amazon for a couple of bajillion dollars or whatever. And they have such a unique culture that if you, after the 4 weeks or 2 months of job auditioning, if you don't want to work there, they will pay you something like $2,000 to not work there. They'll say, okay, here's the job, you have it, or here's $2,000, get lost. I mean, that's crazy. Honestly, I'm not telling you to give a kid $2,000 to not work at your place, because people take you up on that. So we do not do that. But I was just from Zappos. They so want the right people, and they want to dissuade the wrong people. That they figured out the number, right? Up to $2,000 they'll pay you to not work there because you're not motivated to skip that $2,000 and be a great employee, right? Crazy time. So let's talk about how we do it. This is boot camp. It's all delivered online. Don't get too excited about the DVDs. Who has DVDs anymore anyway, right? Plus, if they were DVDs, I couldn't give you a live class. But this is what you're going to end up with here. All right, here's how it's going to happen. You're going to receive the invitation to the online class. You're going to get login information to our exclusive website for the class. That's where everything's delivered. On there, you've got recordings of every class we've ever done if you want to see a different version of it, or go back and check out the question and answers from some other classes. That's on there, so you got the videos. Every class we do live, and then you can get the video for that class as well. And then you've got all of your handouts are on there by week. Now, I know sometimes that frustrates people because they say, I want to do them all right now. But you're going to have to believe me when I say there's so much work to do that it's better if you just do it 1 week at a time. Stay up to date and don't try to jump ahead. You jump ahead, you're going to get flustered. It's not going to make sense. You're going to skip a part. Don't do it. Do it in order. Go by week. You're going to get invitation to our VIP Facebook group. Miss Michelle will get you in there. And then you're going to get everything week by week in a format so you can fill in the blank. Okay, this is not me talking, giving you ideas, and then you have to go write down some notes and try to figure out what the heck I meant by that. No way. Okay, I'm going to give you exactly what we use. I'm going to give you one that you can, almost every one of them now, I've had so many requests, every one of them comes in like Word document format. You don't even have to type them. You don't have to copy and paste. You can just say, not Maze Quest, Jim's Pick Your Own Farm, boom, right? Like it's just that easy and done. Okay, here's what we're doing. And this is the part that I almost sort of didn't even realize it while it was going on. But since 2009, all right, I haven't had to fire anyone. And I'll share with you why. What we're building here is a system, and this system, it filters all of your decisions. You're going to do all the work up front. You make every decision up front. So that during your season, I don't have to get stressed out if somebody's late. I don't have to get stressed out if somebody drops the F-bomb in front of some preschoolers. Now, I may still flip my lid, but the decision of what to do is already made, right? Oh, she's got her cell phone? I don't have to be mad. That kid, they might be frustrated, but they can't be mad because they knew exactly what was going to happen. I'm going to take that phone. They're going to lose their potential $100 bonus, and I'm going to call their mom and have a difficult discussion with them. Boom. System done. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be like, oh, today I'm feeling great, so you get a pass on your phone. And then tomorrow I'm feeling really bad. I'm going to tear you a new one, right? No. System's already in place. I see your phone. You know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Boom. Filter done. Rest of the thing. Check out all this stuff, okay? All your class recordings. You got a pre-interview sheet. The interview guide. Job descriptions for all of our Fun Park jobs, most of which you can just copy and paste. Non-negotiable business values worksheet. The expectations guide. The fill-in-the-blank version of the expectations guide. The group orientation sheet. The group orientation meeting outline. The handout. I even give you the PowerPoint for how to do one of these group orientations, all right? The trainer day outline, the training day outline, the retraining day outline, and the exception customer service worksheet. And that's not misspelled, not exceptional. It's the exception customer worksheet. That's a different thing. Now, we're talking stuff like clock-in policy, discipline policy, cell phone policy, commitment sheet, parental involvement sheet, the employee incentives, the referral bonus, the postseason parties, the employee recognition plan, and now like 40 or 60 different employee recognition certificates you can even, take a look at and steal them, right? It's all done for you. It's not even stealing. We're giving it to you, right? Done for you, swipe and deploy. Now with every class, we have 25 seats that get an extra scheduled call. We call it the hour of power. We're down to 13, and actually one just sold yesterday. So we're down to 12, but that's okay. No big deal. This is an extra hour. So once you've gotten your whole system done, we get to week 9. So you've got all 8 modules done. You send me your whole program, and then we schedule an hour, and we go through your program, and we'll ask and answer everything for a whole extra hour that's just your farm. It's not me doing a class. It's just me with you on the phone, looking at your stuff, and working on your specific program. Now you might be thinking, I don't have that many teens. Does it work with adults? Yes, it totally works with adults. Most adults have worked at a place where they do not have clarity about what they're supposed to be doing. And so for them, like seeing this clarity, what's fun is when we bring in the parents, every year I hire 1 or 2 parents out of group orientation. They're just like, I need to work here too. This sounds like fun. I'm just getting started. Maybe you're thinking that. I don't have many employees. If you got 5 employees, this thing is going to pay for itself in the first month. I don't have money for this. You're already paying $1 jillion in payroll. My guess is you're going to save way more than this. I'm too busy. Yes. And so am I. I actually don't have time to teach this class, but I do it because it's super important, and it is a huge lever, okay? One of the reasons you're too busy is probably because your people aren't doing what you need them to do. Let's be honest about it. That sound harsh, but, too bad. You're not hiring me to be Mr. Nice Guy. You're hiring me to tell you like it is, right? You probably also are too busy to have scheduling headaches, to have people come in late, to have people with their cell phones out, right? You don't have a system for fixing that yet. So this is actually going to buy you time. Maybe you're saying this isn't the right time. Winter's as close to the right time as possible. I did have one of our clients jump in a little early because she's got a garden center and she wants to get done before she gets to her strawberry festival, and she can't be out of the garden center. Once she hits March and April, she's off and running. And I don't trust myself to do the work. And that I totally agree with, okay? Here's the deal. To put this class together, so many people ask me about this, to put this class together, I paid thousands of dollars to take a class on how to create classes that are effective, to put this whole thing into a format that you could actually use. And I didn't have enough time, and I was too busy, and I didn't trust myself to do the work, so I paid money for it. And I'm a Scottish farmer, and so if I'm going to put down money for something, that means I'm going to do it. All right? Now, the cool thing is you also get the whole class for an entire year. So you got February now. We also have a class in May, so you can sit in on some classes then. You can check in with people, and you got the Facebook group the whole time for an entire year. And then when you renew, it's only $97 to renew, and you get all of the new stuff. Remember those values and lost wages? $1,800, 5 employees. $4,600, 10 or 12 employees. $13,000 if you got 25 employees. I mean, it can be crazy amounts of value in lost wages. Calculate your own value. I mean, you don't have to accept, you can say, Hugh, your values are foolish. Cool. Put in your own. You got 50 employees, I mean, just the no-brainer. Boot camp is $997 for the whole thing. Less than even the 5 employee level. But the early bird seats, we still have 12. There's still the discount going right now. You can get it for just $697. $697. I mean, pretty inexpensive in the grand scheme. I mean, if you don't think you can save $700, don't do the program. I mean, just take the headaches and go with it, right? Because $697 in the grand scheme of things is very inexpensive. But we do have one more bonus. And this is a cool one we've been working on for an entire year. And it's called Bulletproof Your Payment Network. And this is another class. It's a 5-module program. And this is based on just an absolute disaster we had 2 years ago. October Sunday, everyone picture it, October Sunday, guests lined up to the parking lot from the we don't open till 1, so guests were lined up from 12 o'clock on, I'm sure, ready to get in the door. And we broke the internet every way possible. Had a router go down, had internet go down, then we had a payment processor go down, swipers go down, I mean, everything. And it was an absolute disaster. For 3 months after October, we were still processing people's chargebacks, where they were getting charged double, not charged at all, charged triple, charged for the wrong thing, charged fee. I mean, it was a disaster. And since then, we have been working very hard with my buddy Gabe, our tech nerd, to bulletproof the payment network. And we're going to teach you exactly how to do that. That's included free with Bootcamp. And not only is it included free, but we guarantee you get a system you can use. If you buy it and it's not worth it, we get to week 8 and you've put this thing together and you're looking at it going, this is terrible, Hugh. I can't use this. 5 days of completing the course, module 8. You got 5 days. You tell me, Hugh, not worth it at all. I did it. I didn't like it. You get your money back. I'm super confident that this thing is going to just be a revelation for how you interact with your employees. That I'll guarantee it. So reserve your seat. Just go to agritourismmanagerbootcamp.com and you can save $300 on your program. So just get it for $697 instead of the regular $997. Now, if you have any questions about it, go ahead and chat them in. You should have a chat box there. I think I had sent one here, but I'll do it again here. Enter any questions here. And this is what we do at the end of every class. We have an open question and answer time, and I just slide the questions over to the big screen, and we just go down through it, and we get everything answered So sometimes, it's always optional. Try to finish the module at or before the 1 hour period. And then we always have a kind of open question and answer. Some of those have gone 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 25 minutes. Just depends on the module and the questions that people have. So if you have any questions about the program, just go ahead and throw them on there. And we'll do it just like we do during the class time. We got people from all over the place. That's pretty fun. All right. Taking it easy on me. That's super good. That's super good. So if there aren't any questions, just head over to agritourismmanagerbootcamp.com. Get in on the $300 off. 12 more seats have the extra hour of power there to talk down through your system. Love to help you out with that, and we'll get you all set.